The law of karma states that what you give, you get in return. So if you do good, good will come back to you tenfold. If you do bad, that bad will be returned to you also. And karmic debt is the karma we've carried on from past lives. And we tend to heal that in this life through karmic relationships. Karmic relationships are here to teach us lessons and to help us grow. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. So because of the karma that we've accumulated in past lives, I believe that reincarnation after reincarnation, we go through the same experiences. We go through the same lessons. And each incarnation, each lifetime, we get better. Because we're paying off that debt and we're learning how to evolve. We're remembering who we really are. We're coming back to our truth and we're coming back to our souls. But we've had to learn the lessons throughout each lifetime in order to get to where we are now. So this is why we choose these karmic relationships before we reincarnate into this lifetime. We choose those toxic relationships. And that's the thing, we pay off our karmic debt through the lessons that we need to learn through these relationships. And it doesn't have to be romantic relationships. This can be through your family dynamics. This can also be through friendships, through work relationships, through any kind of friendships or relationships that you have. There will be some form of karmic lessons or karmic debt to be learned. And now, how do we understand this? It's to be self-aware. We need to understand what the relationship is telling us, what the situation is telling us, what is unfolding from past lives. And I believe as well, right, a lot of the time, which is unfortunate, a lot of the stuff that we were repaying, the roles were reversed in a past life. So if you say, for example, if we're in a controlling relationship in this life, or an abusive narcissistic relationship in this life, you may well have been the narcissist or the controller in your previous life relationships. And because of that, your soul chose to go into this kind of relationship in this lifetime, so in order to pay back that karmic debt. And it's kind of a hard one to face, because we go through an awful lot of trauma. Well, I personally have, and I know a lot of people have gone through an awful lot of trauma in their lives, a lot of karmic debt, a lot of karmic relationships. And to kind of find out that you may have done these things in a previous life to other people, it's kind of hard to kind of take in, because anything that's ever happened to me personally, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And I really wouldn't. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So to think that I'm getting these lessons in this life because I may have done that in a past life, it's hard to fathom. But I also feel better that I'm able to pay off that karmic debt and learn those lessons and become a better person and not repeat that cycle. And that's the thing. It's about the cycle. We will repeat that karmic cycle until we learn that lesson. So that relationship, that friendship, that situationship, that family dynamic is going to keep repeating itself until you know that it's a lesson and that you understand what you need to learn from it. And that's the thing, my first narcissistic relationship was 8 years. That's a lot of karmic debt. But I had a lot of lessons to learn, and it took for that length of time to understand, and it took for a lot of lessons throughout that relationship to understand that I had to break that cycle. The same in my next relationship, the same in friendships, the same in my family dynamics. I had to choose to walk away from certain situations when I learned that lesson. We're in these dynamics and they're volatile. That's how you kind of know that it's a karmic situation. You might be there might be a lot of passion in the relationship, but there's a lot of toxic energy, a lot of arguments, a lot of fighting, a lot of control, a lot of codependency, a lot of abuse. It's not healthy, and it keeps going around in that cycle over and over again. So if you've been in a relationship where, it got to the stage where it was just constant arguing, and then maybe a little bit of love bombing in between, and then constant arguing again. And it went round and round and round like that until you actually were able to leave that dynamic. this was because you were trying to pay off that karmic debt from your previous relationships, previous relationships in past lives. And I think each one gets shorter as we learn and grow throughout this lifetime. So like, for example, for me, I went through an 8-year toxic relationship. The next one was 1.5 years, and the next one was 2 months. So, you know, I learned my lesson gradually. And then after that, I decided I needed to go within and understand what I needed to learn from those karmic lessons, from those karmic cycles. And it's the same when I was walking away from certain friends or family members. You know, I could have stayed in that karmic cycle and repeated that same generational karmic cycle over and over again, or chose to leave. And that's the thing, like, if you're being presented with something over and over again, a lesson over and over again, a warning sign over and over again, because of, you know, volatility, toxicity, or abuse, that's kind of like your trigger. That's your wake-up call to understand that this is a karmic lesson that you need to release yourself from. You know what I mean? It's going to keep coming up. It's going to keep repeating. Things like that don't get easier. And, you know, like for example, you know, when you're in these relationships, like, you want nothing more than for things to work out. That's because of your wounded inner child. So that's a different story altogether. That's because of your codependency, your kind of needy energy from lack of validation from childhood. But because of that, you're afraid to let this relationship go. But you're also afraid of failure. You're afraid, like, even if this relationship is toxic, if you break it off, you failed. That's the way you feel. But you don't deserve to be in this dynamic over and over again. And if it keeps repeating itself, that means there's something here that you need to wake up to. And this happened, like, you know, with my dad as well, like, towards the end. I couldn't be around that negative energy. Every time we were together, we argued. And, like, it reminded me of my 2 past relationships. You know, shaken with anger and crying with that anger and upset. You know, and I swore I'd never let another person do that to me after my 2 toxic relationships. And that's why I had to walk away from my family, is because it was happening again. And that was the karmic lesson that I needed to learn there. That, you know, and that's the thing. We have to understand, if a toxic pattern keeps repeating itself, it's a karmic lesson. You need to ask yourself, what is this trying to show you? What are the lessons that I need to learn? What is the karmic debt that I need to pay off? You know, because these relationships, these karmic relationships, are going to keep repeating themselves or keep presenting themselves to you in different areas. Now, this can be, as I said, in any area. You know, you could have gone from, like, romantic relationships, but then you've learned your lessons in those romantic relationships, but you will be presented with the same kind of dynamic with a work relationship, a boss, a family member, you know, your community, people in your community, people in your circle, your friends. You know, if you keep being shown the same lesson over and over again, the same unhealthy lesson, you know what I mean? Because something isn't going to repeat itself if you learn from it. A cycle is going to end if you understand it, if you understand the karma that you're trying to release. So, you know, if you're stuck in this kind of a dynamic with anyone in your life, if there's a repeating cycle, if there's toxicity and abuse, and you just keep kind of trying to keep the peace, but you're walking on eggshells, ask yourself, what lessons do you need to learn? What do you need to do? What boundaries do you need to set? What do you need to do for your own self-healing and self-growth? And that's the thing, like, you know, it's harder when it comes to family dynamics or friendships. Well, it's harder when it comes to any of them, because in any sense, you don't want to leave that person, because you've created a bond and you've known this person in this past life as well. So that's the thing, like, there is a bond there, but this bond was created for lessons only. And that's the understanding that you need to come to. Like, all relationships are going to give you triggers, but you're going to know if something is toxic and something is healthy. You're going to know if something is helping you grow or if something is going around in a repetitive cycle. So, you know, that's that's how you kind of see the signs of karmic relationships, is that repeated toxic cycle, that repeated argument, that repeated scenario over and over again, where nothing ever improves, where you actually, it ends up getting worse and worse and worse. And that's the thing with karmic relationships. It won't get better, and it will continue to get worse and worse and worse until that grenade is thrown into your life, and that you actually have to wake up and see that there is a lesson here to be learned and that you need to move on. You know, this is what karmic debt is. This is what karmic lessons are. This is what karmic relationships are for. You have pre-organized this. Your soul has organized this before you reincarnated to pay off your karmic debt from previous relationships or past life relationships. So you chose for this. You asked that other soul to come into this lifetime with you to pay off that lesson. And that's it. These karmic relationships are usually very temporary. They don't last long. And once separated, the bond breaks, or it's you know, the cord is cut. But you will continue to go around in this repetitive cycle, as I said, over and over and over again, unless you understand the lesson that you need to actually face and learn. So ask yourself, are there relationships, friendships, family dynamics in your life that are actually trying to show you something, that are actually toxic, that are actually volatile? Because when it comes to that kind of energy, it's something that it's trying to show you. It's trying to show you what you need to learn and what karma that you need to pay off. So, you know, this is how self-awareness is so important. Becoming aware of how you feel around these people. Becoming aware of how you feel with the correspondence you have with these people, with the interactions you have with these people. Does it make you feel good? Or is it constantly depleting your energy and making you feel low, lethargic, you know, out of energy, unhappy, frustrated, angry even? These are all signs and triggers to try and show you what karma you need to learn and what karma you need to pay off. And the beauty of it is, this prepares you for better connections. This prepares you for divine love. When it comes to romantic relationships, the lessons that you learn, the karma that you shed, prepares you for your true divine counterpart, prepares you so that you will grow enough to be able to accept divine love. And that's the thing, we're doing this lifetime after lifetime to come into this place of complete awakening to ourselves. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of this lifetime. We are all awakening at a quicker scale than we ever did. We're all discovering the truth within us. And this is what all this karma is all about, is to finally shed those generations of karmic debt, those generations of trauma, and to bring us back into harmony within ourselves, within everything around us, and to be able to accept divine love or divine abundance into our lives. We need to go through these lessons in order to evolve. We need to go through these lessons in order to be the best version of ourselves. So in order that we can invite in the higher vibrational energy. So karmic relationships, no matter how toxic or volatile they really are, they're here for a reason. And there's something to be grateful for in them. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, my past relationships and past experiences have been the worst. Like, you know what I mean? As I said, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, any of the stuff that I went through. But a part of me is very grateful for those lessons, because it has purified me in a sense. It has made me a better person. And it has helped me to clear my own karma. So we tend to learn that we used to kind of, we tend to, a lot of times we look back on these karmic relationships and we're angry, we're bitter at that person, but also at ourselves. We're angry and bitter for allowing ourselves to be controlled for so long, for abused for so long. And this is the thing, like, you know, it was chosen by us to go into that relationship before we even went into it. But it was there for a purpose. It is there for a divine purpose, you know, so we can't regret, we can't hate, and we can't blame ourselves, because we asked for this. And I know that sounds weird, but we asked for these lessons. So we can't hate on that person or ourselves for something that we chose, we need to forgive that person and forgive ourselves, because all of this was a part of our path and all of this was a part of our growth. All of this was to make us into the person that we were supposed to be, the best version of ourselves. And this will make us more pure and more receptive to that divine energy that's entering our lives. So learn to forgive the past and forgive yourself, because all of this karma, all of these lessons are a part of your journey and a part of your growth. We learn to be grateful for these lessons, and we learn that we are expanding, we're evolving into something bigger. And our relationships then will become more harmonious, more loving, and more unconditionally acceptable to ourselves and to everyone else around us when we learn and shed that karma. So, and then we start to live, when we do start to live in love, all we give is love, and then we get the love. The karma is different. We get the good karma. When we shed all those layers of karmic debt, when we've learned our lessons and all we embody then is love, all we can receive then is love. So therefore, it'll be only harmonious relationships that will come into our lives. And don't get me wrong, every relationship is going to teach you lessons. Every relationship is going to trigger you. Even your twin flame relationship is one of your biggest triggering relationships you'll ever have. Any soul connection that you have is going to trigger healing for you. But you'll know the difference between a karmic relationship and a normal soul relationship, because karmic relationships are toxic and repetitive cycles, whereas the triggers within a harmonious twin flame or soul connection, they help you grow. Every trigger makes you better. And like, don't get me wrong, the lessons from a karmic relationship will eventually make you better, but the cycle will keep repeating within that dynamic and will continue to be toxic. Whereas in a harmonious, equal relationship, you will feel yourself evolving, you'll feel yourself growing. So that's when you're going to know the difference. You're going to know the difference between a karmic relationship and a divine relationship with the energy. How do you feel? Is it depleting you? Is it toxic? Is it abusive? Is it controlling? Or is it helping you grow? Is it helping you evolve into the best version of yourself? Learn your lessons from your karmic relationships to bring in your harmonious relationships. This is what it's all about. This is what we're here for. This is helping us to awaken to the truth that is within us. Shedding those past karmic debts is the way that we evolve into harmonious and loving relationships. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.